Confirmation, please, that the arena is clear and safe for combat.
Arena's clear.
The arena is clear. Shots of the Roboteers, please, on 2.
Stand by.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Robot Wars.
You guys are 3, 2, 1. Activate.
Hello and welcome to the annihilation, the carnage, the total wanton destruction that is Robot Wars. Here for the first time in one package, we bring you the classic battles of the first TV series. The story of how Roadblock became Robot Wars champion. Exclusive behind-the-scenes action, real drama from the pits, and never-before-seen footage of the first Robot Wars conflict. Now, the sport of Robot Wars originated in America, but the first battles on British soil were witnessed here at this secret warehouse location. Unfortunately, the conflict was so indescribably brutal, it was immediately banned by the censors and has never been shown before. That is, until now. So sit back, evict the faint-hearted, and enjoy some highlights of the very first Robot Wars, when a handful of robots took on the wrath of the American champions in open competition. The British robots were severely punished by their American cousins. British robot Grunt takes a pounding from the American heavyweight, the Master. British triumphs were few and far between. This is America's La Machine, celebrating another victory over the Brits. The American robots even turned the gentle sport of soccer into absolute carnage. But while the British were left licking their wounds, the Americans turned their attention to fighting each other. Later on, we'll show you the battle that was fought between Thor and the Master. It was to be one of the most awesome robot battles ever. So there you have it. Of course, Robot Wars has since become a major phenomenon on British television. Over 5 million people witness robots locked in battle every week. The nation has been rocked by scenes of unparalleled violence. And the house robots have become household names. 36 teams faced each other in the first series. 6 fought their way through to the final. This is their story. If you need a pillow to cower behind, get one now.
As ever, the first event is the Gauntlet, the most fearsome fighting terrain known to man or robot. It's been cunningly designed so that there are any number of ways to get through, but there are also lots of hidden surprises for unsuspecting robots, like these corkscrew lances, and they may not survive if they stumble in the path of any one of our house robots defending the course tonight.
Introducing Shunt, a power-packed robot capable of pulling a Land Rover and cleaving all opponents in two with that sharpened steel axe.
Matilda.
Prehistoric Matilda's next up, with hydraulic tusks and a truly lethal chainsaw tail running at over 3,000 revs per minute.
Sergeant Bash.
Keeping order, Sergeant Bash, featuring a savage circular saw and a flamethrower, certain to leave all opponents hot under the collar. And Dead Metal with the pneumatic pincers and a steel cutting arm. I'm your commentator, Jonathan Pierce, and these are the House Robots.
The job of building the house robots went to the BBC's famous visual effects department.
We only had 6.5 weeks to build everything and design everything. We were up against building 4 fighting vehicle robots that were capable of taking part in these challenges and actually fighting against other robots and smashing bits off of them, and at the same time looking good as well. It was necessary to produce the sketches as quick as possible to get them approved, but quite in what direction it was going to head needed a little bit of thought about it. I think perhaps started with something like Matilda. It would be very much a sort of organic type of looking robot. I sort of sculpt out of fiberglass, or sculpt out of clay, and made out of fiberglass. In fact, when we actually came to build Matilda, it took 4 attempts in the sculpt of the clay to get it right. I mean, I really wasn't happy with it, and I had to keep getting it changed each time, which annoyed the people that were sculpting it, but at the end of the day, it was really worth it. There's more going on inside Sergeant Bash than in any of the others, in terms of the fact we've got a gas bottle for the flamethrower, regulators for the flamethrower, and there's a petrol offcut saw on the back. The turret on the top spins, so there's motors to turn all of that. Dead Metal, I felt it would be nice to design something that had sort of like grabbing jaws, a bit like a lobster. The jaws themselves are operated off air. There's 2 little air rams in each jaw. The jaws can grab something at the same time we can move the saw, the steel cutting saw, over the top to cut something up as well. Shunt was designed mainly in mind that it would be taking part in the sumo, so it was necessary to have that fairly low to the ground so people couldn't get in underneath it, and also for it to be fairly powerful as well. In terms of their actual sort of fighting element, I came down to sort of like a chainsaw and a steel offcut saw, the idea of a flamethrower as well, which wasn't very well appreciated in the early stages, but I always felt would work really well within the programme.
There's quite a lot to do as far as setting up the controls, so it's a bit unpredictable at the moment. Yeah, it'll be ready, yeah. It's 24 hours in a day.
Yes, we will be ready. We'll definitely be ready. Hoping to get going tonight, actually.
There are 36 teams here, and over the coming week they're all going to be battling for a place in the final. These include some of the best technicians, engineers and radio control experts in Britain today. But even though there's only a few seconds to the first event, they're still making vital adjustments.
From Bodmin Community College, Roadblock.
Weighing in at 82.5 kilograms and over 1.45 meters long, all the signs suggest that this is a robot to be reckoned with, carrying a deadly circular saw.
Roboteers, stand by.
A-level students Hender Blewett and Chris Kinsey from Bodmin attempt the gauntlet for the first time ever.
Our main feature is at the front, where we can push with some force, and we hope to create some serious damage later on with our main weapon at the back.
Activate. For the first time in the history of Robot Wars, the gauntlet is run. And out comes Roadblock. He does not want to be torched. In goes Matilda. Dead Metal is beaten. It's big Chris Kinsey, the tall blonde lad. And this is a good run here by Roadblock, and that's very fast.
Our main plan was to go over that bridge, actually. As we were steering onto it, we found a gap and went for it.
They were quick. They set the standard. First to run, first on the leaderboard.
Well done.
Thank you. We're really happy.
You must be.
I think we're the fastest wheelchair on earth.
From Dublin, Nemesis.
Surrounded by lethal stainless steel spikes and a pneumatic ram, this fur-covered robot isn't as cuddly as it looks. Weighing in at 76.8 kilograms, Nemesis hopes to uphold Celtic honour here on Robot Wars.
Is it flame-proof?
We thought it was originally, but it's not.
It's not. So if you come up against Sergeant Bash, you're done for.
Yeah.
Oh well. Good luck. See you later.
Roboteers, stand by.
The Nemesis team from Dublin, controllers Peter Redmond and William Murphy, aviation technicians backed by engineer Joe Gavin.
Nemesis' primary weapon is a pneumatic ram, 150 psi pneumatic ram. Even though we might look furry and friendly, we've got a 2mm stainless steel can. We're going to take plenty of that.
Activate. The Dublin boys with Nemesis. Haven't they got good taste? Red and black polka dots and that ghastly grin and red fur, surely vulnerable to flame, I would have thought. But this is a good run. Already dead metal's out of it. Look at that horrible grin. And Matilda waits, and that's a good dummy for Matilda, and that's a very good run, and they're through.
Are we allowed to see your robot with no clothes on?
Oh yeah, he's not shy.
Do you ever take your waistcoats off there? That's what I want to know.
Oh, we had to wear them. The other two team members who couldn't make it made us wear them.
The good thing is, though, you avoided the flamethrower.
That's the main thing, yeah. We weren't just a ball of flame down the course.
From Maidstone, Kilotron.
Don't let the lurid fluorescent paintwork fool you. Weighing in at 72.2 kilos, powered by two 24-volt wheelchair motors and featuring a mighty pickaxe, Kilotron bound to tickle his opponents more than pink.
Robot ears, stand by.
Last to go, Kilotron driver Richard Broad and the father and son team Abdul Degia on the left, Ian Degia on the right.
Activate.
The Barry team awaits nervously. They're vulnerable. Kilotron just has 2.93 metres to beat to eliminate Barry. It's done that with that awful fluorescent pink and the dreadful pickaxe. Drivers Abdul and Richard with that sort of weaponry and colouring. I'd go and see a psychiatrist if I was you.
This is Kilotron, and this is why.
Impaled on the pneumatic drill and stuck there on the side of the second ramp. Ooh, bash with the torch as well. It's all going wrong. Onto my bed springs, and I can tell you they're painful. You won't beat springs with a pickaxe, boys. What are you doing?
Stop and deactivate robots.
I enjoyed that, but I would have been better to get the other end.
Yes, the boys with Kilotron last to taste the gauntlet are through. And it's Kilotron in the pink, just in case you'd forgotten.
This is sumo. The rules are quite simple. You have to stay in the 16-foot diameter sumo ring as long as possible, while trying to push your opponent out.
10 centimeters, because Shunt can get in underneath.
Trouble is, your opponent is the formidable house robot, Shunt.
Wheelchair motors, and Shunt slowly, inexorably pushes again. Sumo! Kilotron stays its ground. This is tremendous stuff. Only 7 seconds, boys. Go on, do it. 4 seconds, you can do it. 2 seconds, they're going to go through. It's a marvellous run. I think that 200-yard sign wedge on the front could be crucial here to scoop up and under Shunt. Driving at the moment, Hender Blewett and Chris Kinsey, who built Roadblock as an A-level project down in Bodmin. They're using the 24-volt electric engines well here. That's a little bit like a bullfighting matador contest out there. They're already through safely with a good time. Oh, look at this! Shunt's gone! And death by glory! They've gone too! And they're through, but the fact they went out of the circle right at the end, they're second to Kilotron.
Victory over Shunt is enthusiastically received in the pits.
Activate.
Nemesis gives Shunt the eye and that evil grin. Those spikes look deadly as well. It's all about traction and torque. And Nemesis could talk in tongues here because there's a little pneumatic ram shaped like a viper's tongue that could come out any minute and kill off Shunt. Oh, he's not going to go again, surely. We thought Shunt was unbeatable and fearless. Go on, Shunt, get out. Talk about living on the edge. And Nemesis surely through. Marvellous.
Your opponents for the semi-final, the Roadblock team.
Hi. Trouble is, we just can't seem to make up our mind what blade to use.
What's effective against for?
Well, I really don't know, but we're hoping to do some serious damage today.
Tragic news breaking from the pits. Very, very tragic news, actually. Is it true that your speed controller is burnt out?
Yeah, I don't know how it happened. It just went up in a puff of smoke.
Well, what does this mean? Do you have a spare?
No, unfortunately we don't. It's the only one we have.
So you'll have to pull out of the semi-finals?
No, we might be able to get it going in one direction only and see what happens then. We'd have no reverse. So we'll see what we can do there.
This is not good.
No, it's a disaster.
Many people love Nemesis.
I know, I love him too.
Sort it out. Can't somebody donate one?
Oh, we're trying to get one.
Got a speed controller spare?
The boys from...
With only makeshift repairs, Nemesis takes on Roadblock in the semi-final.
And Roadblock will use that saw, activated by Hender Blewett. And Roadblock could choke on a furball. Nemesis being ripped to shreds at this moment in time. They need to get away from that saw. Oh, that could be a mistake by Roadblock. It's gone in with Matilda and the spikes, and it's impaled on the spikes. Matilda's saw. And that vicious tail. This could be a tale of two saws. Roadblock away. Now attacks Nemesis again. Gets underneath. The Nemesis boys all want to go into space, and they're in the air. They're in the air. And they're on fire. Get the fire brigade. Aye, aye, you're in trouble. It could all be over for Nemesis shortly now.
Whoa! This is complete carnage.
Oh, well, we always knew that was going to happen. That was just for the fun, you know.
For the fun, it was a massive amount of fun, but he's not even gone. I left.
No, well, that's only cosmetic. He'll be back to fight again another day.
You did very well, especially because of the
yeah, we
difficulties
couldn't go backwards at all, so we couldn't do spin to use our blades on the side properly, you know. And that's although we did tear a good few holes in him in the other guy.
Look at that, look. You see the hole it's done to it? Look, it's only a bit of furnace damage. Have you seen the hole in that thing?
Have we seen a hole in there?
There. Ripped it to bits.
Take us, show us. Where's the hole? Where's the damage that used to stay? Wow, did that come from Nemesis?
This is flat.
This is on stick of an ear.
Proof.
That's about the extent of the damage that we'll receive.
Yeah.
Proof that just because you look pretty doesn't mean you can't cause a lot of damage. Here, you've put something extra on the end of this.
What?
Those spikes weren't on there before.
Well, it's one of our optional extras. Hello team, we'd like to present you with a spin bag as we're against you for your bits. I'm sure you'll get most of them in there.
I've got news for you. Look. At the moment we've only got one wheel working, so go easy lads.
Well, we'll
just take it steady, you know what I mean?
Okay.
Pretty in pink, Kilotron takes on Shogun.
Shogun running away at the moment. There's Yoda from Star Wars. I knew he was in that team. Kilotron looking the more aggressive with the pickaxe. Shogun trying to evade, but it's got to get out of that space. This is not good driving at the moment. They don't seem to be able to avoid Kilotron, who seems to be having something of a fit. Oh! Shogun is stuck on the grill! And Kilotron comes in for the kill! Bash! And again! Oh dear! And the sergeant's lost his saw! Whoops!
Hey!
Hi.
Congratulations and commiserations, because it was a great show.
That's what it's all about, isn't it? Just having a good time and doing your best.
Have you enjoyed it?
Yep.
How come you ended up on the grill?
We had problems with the motor. We had problems with the speed controller. We burnt one of them, we put another one in, it didn't match. Consequently, we didn't have the right hand turning capacity that we thought we had. They were just not matched.
Such a disappointment because you were so close. And Kilotron got your only Achilles heel.
Yeah, the wooden top. It was going to be metal. We didn't get time for the metal top.
Well, it was a great show. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thanks.
Outrageous damage has been done to the bottom end of Kilotron.
Isn't it? So whether a piece is penetrated in some way, knocked a wire off.
Do you think you can be ready for the final now?
No trouble.
pressure. I think it's probably a bit too rich.
Twist the cable or you've released it. Did you do that on with pliers then?
No, because I didn't keep it on full reps, it sort of lost it. So if I just weaken the mixture a bit, it should run fine.
Just a few seconds until you go on. How's it going?
Well, everything seems to be working fine and we're looking forward to getting out there.
Tactics?
Straight in, straight out.
Kilotron, how's it going?
Very well, very well. We just hope the batteries hold out and our tactics work out right.
What are your tactics?
Well, it depends what way they come at us, really.
Activate. Kilotron against the battle-scarred roadblock. The pickaxe against the circular saw, and the pickaxe gets in first. The old polka dots of Nemesis on roadblock, a distant memory. But that scoop's so important again, getting in underneath Kilotron. And the Trojan team befuddled at the news. And in comes the sergeant with the torch. The roadblock boys controlling this final of the moment. And Kilotron's on the run. It's piggyback time. They're in and underneath Kilotron. It's only a question of time. They know it. Kilotron will be in for the big, big flip. They're going to flip in. No, it's all over. Roadblock the winners.
I loved every second of it. We just couldn't wait to take them out. They've been cocky in the pits and now they're over. They're upside down.
So, Roadblock books its place in the grand finals. And now, on to the next heat.
From Mickfield near Stowmarket, recycled.
Completely recycled, cost less than £100 to build. Weighs in at 79.5 kilos, certain to give all opponents a licking with his pneumatically driven steel tongue, a reach of over 90 centimetres.
From Cambridge University, Mortis.
Carrying a deadly Japanese piercing blade and one of tonight's heaviest robots, weighs in at 78.4 kilos, designed around two 12-volt wheelchair motors, giving an optimum speed of 9 miles an hour.
From Dartford Girls Grammar School, Detonator.
This school-designed robot runs off a lawnmower engine and a 12-volt electric motor salvaged from a Vauxhall Cavalier. Weighs in at 52.5 kilos and runs at a steady 4 miles an hour.
Robot ears, stand by.
Pupils Vicky Allgood and Claire Greenaway, teacher David Crosby, they call themselves the Femme Fatale.
This is our robot detonator.
This is our light sensor, which is mainly for decoration, but it's also to confuse the opposition. And this is our rammer, which is our main weapon.
Inside, we've got a petrol-driven lawnmower engine to drive us forwards, and at the back, we're going to have another engine to power us backwards.
Poor old David looks about 74, 75, 76. He's a Star Trek fan. Beam him up, Scotty.
Oh, no.
Oh! That might actually have just thrust detonator free. Given a shunt now.
Oh, no.
But back onto the railings. I'll tell you what, David. Nuclear-driven, petrol-driven, electric-driven, doesn't matter. You're not going to get very far. Not now. Go on, girls!
Yes. Stop and deactivate robots.
Listen to that, a round of applause. That's fantastic. I could hardly bear to watch. I didn't want to watch at all.
I didn't want to watch either, but I had to.
Just gone, go! We were like, go, and we just went.
Driver, former TV presenter Rex Garrett and his engineer mate Simon West.
It's called Recyclops because it's made entirely out of recycled materials from scrapyards. It has a quite lethal weapon which comes out and then flips up.
A nice little turn of pace beyond the skittles. In comes Bash, and that's finger-licking hot stuff in there. All beyond Bash and Shunt, and there's a lovely little bit of driving and crashes beyond Matilda and through.
Robot ears, stand by.
Our next academic aggressors, Rob Knight, Chris Salisbury and Arthur Chilcott from Cambridge University.
This is our robot Mortis. It's a tank-style vehicle with tracks, as we reckon it gives it more control. It's very powerful, it's very fast. It has a very, very large axe blade on the front. And for protection we have carbon and Kevlar armour plating, which is very hard indeed. I reckon we have a chance.
Activate.
Very hard, very fast. Very confident. Quick off the mark. And beyond bash. Ooh, the flame licks out. There seems to be a problem actually, maybe with the steering, I'm not too sure. Shunt is there as well, and the axe goes in, and the axe has trapped Mortis, being dragged back there. Now Matilda's in on the action too, with the onboard camera, and they are pinned. Matilda and Shunt and Bash, the house robots doing a magnificent job. You can see the axe there, impaling him, pinning him down. And now getting a lick of flame. We're not going to let you go anywhere. We don't have to.
Stop and deactivate robot.
With less dents in its bodywork than the Cambridge Roboteers have in their confidence, Mortis makes its way back to the pits.
How seriously are you guys taking this?
Probably a bit too seriously.
A bit too seriously?
Yeah.
Describe what you've done to this robot.
I think everything. We've got aerospace grade materials off as many people as we could. It's all aerospace aluminium, titanium, carbon fibre, Kevlar, really top grade stuff.
Dartford girls team, what problems are you having? You're meant to be in the arena now.
Steering at the moment, we're trying to get it to steer to the left.
It'll take us about 2 minutes to clear it. We've got to clean the axle brace down a little bit, and that'll give us a freedom of movement.
Do you think you can win?
I think we may have a chance, yeah.
Guys, come on, you've got 2 minutes. What are you doing? We're trying to get past Parker's welding. It's rubbing on our wheel so it won't turn. Where's the turn?
Where's the turn?
Yep.
Yeah.
Cheers. Tight follow
What's this welding with?
No. On. Line up the front bits. This bit has gone first. No, this. Oh.
Roboteers, stand by. Activate.
Let's see if the detonator repairs have worked. Well, it's slowly away. In fact, it's not even away. The girl's only 15, and detonator can't even move. Recyclops is pegged. Oh, what a run through by Mortis! And the boys from Jesus College, Cambridge are there already. That was stunning. Still detonator at the start. Poor old David Crosby in pain. Recyclops against Matilda. Matilda interfering with Recyclops. Ugh, what a dreadful thought. And still detonator right back at the start. David Crosby has had enough. He's gone. Now Scrapper making its move. Strangely backwards. And it's through backwards. Oh, well, strange, but through nonetheless. Now Leebot takes on Shunt, and Recyclops by the pyramid is in problems here. Leebot being pushed all over the place, but making steady progress anyway for its team, watching back in the pits, and slowly and slowly and surely the Woodlouse is through. But look at Matilda there, stopping the progress of all Recyclops. Until then it's flipped. Well, he got underneath Matilda and flipped her over. She will not be pleased. And back at the start, detonator with so many problems.
One broken chain, that's all. Nothing else is damaged. But it still killed one while it was upside down. It's not bad, is it?
And there you go, detonator out, but they've given us some great fun.
Before we even started, we didn't notice that the girls were shouting down, but we couldn't hear because of the noise of the engine. So when we came in to watch the monitor, we say, why isn't it moving? And I think, batteries. So that's the end of it for the girls from the Dartford Grammar School for Girls.
We're going to win next year, though. We're coming back next year to win.
Who do you not want? Look at you. You've got oil all over your glasses. You've got a cut on your nose. Look at the state of this man. Who don't you want to be pitched against for your final battle?
Doesn't worry me.
It doesn't worry you?
Cool.
That's the voice of confidence.
Well, it's just fun. It's just fun.
Let me just say, it's Scrapper.
Oh, it's Scrapper. Oh dear.
It doesn't worry me. It's just a lot of fun. It doesn't worry me at all.
No, I've got nothing to worry about.
What are you? How are you going to rage the battle? What are your tactics?
The usual one. Blow them off the face of the arena, really.
Best of luck. Robin and Chris of the Leebot team, do you know who you're up against yet?
No, I don't.
Who do you most fear?
Mortis. Yeah.
Mortis from the university.
Mortis from Cambridge University, who actually are right next to you. I've got a bit of bad news for you guys. You're up against Mortis.
Great.
What do you think is going to happen?
Get creamed.
Do you want to say hello to your adversaries? Guys from Mortis. I know you're very busy.
We're extremely busy, we're in a panic, so...
At your engineering, but I'd just like to introduce you to your next opponents, Leebot.
Been working with them for the last few days. Right, you can fit the motor. Sorry.
Obviously a huge reaction there from the Mortis team, who don't seem to be worried in the slightest about their adversaries.
Activate. You stick your tongue out at me and I'll wink at you. Ooh, very nice indeed as the two robots come together. Manoeuvring for position at the moment. Don't go broadside! Oh no, you shouldn't have done that. Broadside and the tongue came out.
What happened, guys?
My words, he was very good. He was very good. I mean, he just tipped us straight over. I mean, it was good to watch.
So you've sustained damage?
Oh, not a lot. Nothing what can't be put right with a big hammer.
So it all works. We found we cracked one of the welds this morning and we bust for shear pin on the motor again. So we had to weld it instead of pinning it now. The motor's just been bodged on and remounted and it's never tested as per normal. So
We finished about 35 seconds ago.
You finished about 35 seconds ago. Okay. Bye. Good luck. So the quiet confidence seems to have disappeared from the Cambridge team.
Activate. Leebot with the angle grinder at the rear and the Lance with the screw drill and running blades to cut and slice. And Mortis with that piercing Japanese blade. Oh, that's not too much of a weapon, is it really? Oh, and that is, look at that Japanese blade thrusting down. Leebot, pepper pot. You could pour pepper out of that Leebot machine now. Look at the holes. But what's Mortis doing? Maybe dropping off for another chance, but going very dangerously near a patrol area in the corner. And the house robot could come in and does. Matilda in there, and there are spikes to come up from the floor. But Mortis is out to attack Leebot again, and underneath Leebot. Could he flip him over? If he does, it's all over! And it is all over!
Guys, can I interrupt you while you're at this little slack point in your lives? I've heard a vicious rumour that says you think no one can beat you.
that is just so untrue. I reckon if 12 of them got together at once, they'd have a good chance.
You're up against Mortis, mate.
Lovely. Nothing wrong with that. Super fine.
You may be thinking you already know which one's going to win, but here on Robot Wars, the lesson we've learnt is that nothing is certain. Guys, what has happened to Mortis?
We've broken the main shaft that drives our axe, so we no longer have our main weapon. We're going to actually try and modify the vehicle so we can use it as a battering ram instead. We don't know how successful it's going to be. It's just a case of suck it and see, basically.
I think I can out-push Mortis. I've got to get the tongue in the right place. I had to make mine rather theatrical so it looked nice, and it's not really in the right place.
You see Mortis got broadside on, the tongue can go underneath Mortis and flip him. Mortis dodges away and the judges will be impressed by that style. Damage, aggression, control and style will come into count if the robots fail to immobilise each other. They don't want to go into that patrol area. Matilda awaits. She can't come out of that patrol area very far. She'll have to go back in any second now, but she's chasing down on Recyclops. There you see her going back into the patrol area. And Mortis is impaled on a spike. And that's poor driving. That is poor steering, and that'll count against the boys from Cambridge. Chris Salisbury driving, and it's taking damage there from Matilda. Points against Mortis. In comes Recyclops with a good attack. I think the axe blade is bent there as well. More damage then, and more points against them. But Mortis free now to see if they can retaliate. Gets in underneath Recyclops. Good defensive work by Recyclops, holding on there. Rex Garrett managing to spin away. Good work by him. Again, Recyclops aggressively goes at Mortis. Out comes the tongue. Good aggression once again. Mortis retaliates underneath and is now driving into another patrol area. That'll count against him again. Poor steering. And it's stuck on the side bars and needs to get out, and he's negative here. Recyclops is trying to get away, but not Mortis. And Mortis is taking more damage.
Cease.
And what a baffling finish. And it goes to the judges.
Here in the pit, I think it's a bit biased, actually, towards one robot. Guys, who do you want to win this?
Let's have a look while we wait at some of the points they will be considering. Good dodging by Recyclops, damage to Mortis. Recyclops aggressive and attacking. Poor steering by Mortis, got it in there in the first place, but retaliating. Good defensive work by Recyclops, again aggression from Recyclops, and good defensive work withstanding the Mortis thrust, and I think this could count against Mortis ultimately driving in there onto the sidebars.
Okay, yeah.
After weighing the evidence, the judges deliver their verdict.
And the judge's decision is that Recyclops has won. Guys, well done, you gave him a good licking.
Well, not a really fair licking, really. I'd have preferred to tip them over, but that's the way it goes.
It's been a popular decision in here.
Oh,
Look,
yes.
you've got a standing ovation. Look at this.
Well, that's good.
Congratulations.
When we first considered the kind of design of the sets for Robot Wars, we decided against too dark a grungy look. We also kept well away from sci-fi as a kind of theme, and we didn't go too far down that kind of sci-fi route and make it too futuristic, because again, that would really have been doing Robot Wars a disservice. Robot Wars is a sport for today, not the sport of tomorrow.
The first thing was to create a look. I designed most of it in metal, lots of scrap metal. I went to a scrap yard, and they provided a lot of the props and a lot of the scenery. The scrapyard in particular is used a lot in the film and television industry. They provide a lot of things for Star Wars and Judge Dredd, that type of movie. So I knew I was on for a winner. Well, I was looking for things that were very striking, and that's why we used the neon signs and a lot of neon, because it works very well on camera. And beyond that, trying to create some sculptures in scrap metal. The rest of it was designed around a metal look, very industrial and sturdy.
The mayhem continues with more candidates for the gauntlet.
From Borden in Hampshire, Blunderbird 1.
Powered by a custom-built 12-volt engine, Blunderbird 1 worships Jerry Anderson, travels at 7 miles an hour and carries a lethal array of interchangeable weapons pods, a deadly design.
We are the International Rec crew. This is the Blunderbird 1. We've built the system around separate weapons pods. The first one has a battering ram with a laser-guided sight. The second pod has a circular saw which will flip out like this when it's operational and do some nice chopping up. We intend to kick some butt with this and be afraid, there's a plunderstorm coming.
Roboteers, stand by.
The Blunderbird 1 team, Mike Onslow, John Dilley and Brian Kilburn, whose ambition it is to meet the rock band Aerosmith.
Activate.
And certainly the best dressed gentlemen on Robot Wars get us off and underway with Blunderbird 1. The weaponry could be deadly, but not against Shunt. On the grill, stuck against the pyramid. And they'll need some work to get out of there.
Hello, Blunderbird team. Sorry, they're not very talkative. Mike, will you talk to me about your weaponry? I want to know what a fixed beam laser guided spike is.
Well, it's a bit of serious business and we're going to do some serious damage with it. Because we're serious people. And we're going to kick some butt.
Oh, well, good luck with that then.
At the moment, Blunderbird. 1, 2, in, out. in, out. And Blunderbird is being hacked and is on the rack.
And deactivate robots from Nuneaton, Dreadnought.
The fiberglass protected Dreadnought runs off a 12-volt starter motor salvaged from a Morris Marina at 5 miles an hour. Not the fastest robot in the field, but certainly the heaviest, weighing in at 92.6 kilos.
Activate.
And the Dreadnought greatest asset here, driven by the brothers-in-law Ken and David, could be its weight. It looks like a big slug.
Our team is Blade Runner. This is our machine Dreadnought. It's a heavyweight robot, and our feature of attack is these forks at the front here, which are operated like this.
There's the strength of that Morris starter motor engine. Takes on dead metal. Now it needs a kick of bass. Stuck there, and the house robots close in. Good run! They're through all the way! Oh, but hang on a minute, what's this? Dreadnought's blown some sort of a fuse, it's on fire! And this could be major, major trouble. They'll have to repair this quickly, otherwise they could be forced to retire, and that would give someone else a chance.
Well, we don't know. After we got through and stopped, we just saw the smoke coming out of it. Couldn't get the main switch to turn off, so we had to take the top off, and all the wire was smoking. Still a bit of excitement. Might need this.
Do you think it's likely that you can repair this for the next round? Otherwise, you're out and Blunderbird's in.
We're trying. We're going to do it. We're starting to work on it now.
Yes, well, we really don't want to win by someone else's misfortune, and it doesn't make us happy to be through because someone else blew up, does it, guys? No.
From Ipswich, Robot the Bruce.
Don't let the transparent bodywork fool you. There's more to this robot than meets the eye. With a top speed of 4 miles an hour and weighing in at 84.6 kilos, Robot the Bruce is one of tonight's heaviest contenders.
Here in the pits, each robot has to be weighed, and this is Robot the Bruce. So, how's it going, Barney?
That's just within the limit for the heavyweight category.
That's handy. I didn't know two Sinclair C5 motors could weigh so much.
Yeah, well, originally the Sinclair 5 motors weren't very successful in the car, but this one's designed for not going along the road, and the original one was.
Okay, all right, we won't say anything then. So what's your tactic, because you've got no weapons?
Lots of power, lots of traction. We're just going to smash them out of the way.
You can try. Good luck with that. Are you all ready? You're up soon. See you.
And the final team to take on the gauntlet, Robot the Bruce, with George Francis and Mick Cutter. They both fly model aeroplanes.
Activate.
Robot the Bruce in its sexy see-through gear. Very heavy, 84.6 kilos, driven by a team. They call themselves the Village Idiots. They're no idiots, they're very clever electric engineers. Look at the power. No weapons there, just brute force.
Robot the Bruce.
As you can see, the robot is built with no special armaments. We're purely relying on a lot of weight. We're in the heavyweight category, and just brute power and a lot of traction, and push people out of the way.
Great strength. George Francis, the driver, is building a single-engine aeroplane driven by a car engine. It's a bit of a worry, but this isn't worrying. That's strong. Good run. They're through. Blunderbird could go through if Dreadnought is ruled out.
You still don't know yet. You must be keeping your fingers crossed secretly.
Secretly, we do a lot of things, but we couldn't tell you that.
They've run the gauntlet, but now time is running out. They've got to be back in that arena very soon for the trials. So will they be ready? Dreadnought, guys, how have you got on?
We've got it working again. We've had to take out the motor that we use for thwart lifts and put it in as a drive motor because the other one's shorted out. It's completely gone. So we've now not got any defence attack mechanism. So we've tried to adjust it so it's now more defensive. We can actually try and scoop the ball up and use it to move the football.
Okay, so it might do you some favours.
Well, hopefully.
You're in. That's the main
right.
thing.
We've made it. We
Best
didn't think
of
we
luck.
would, but we've done it.
Move over, Vinnie Jones. These are the real hard men of soccer. The rules are score a goal and you go through.
Don't forget the ball. Don't forget the ball. That's a little bit more like it. Oh, good save by Dead Metal. Get it away. Magnificent stuff. There's big Dreadnought in there. And Robot the Bruce, with that sheer power, through to the edge of the goal area. Can he get the last touch? The keeper's beaten. Go on, go on! It's there! Look at that! Get out away Dreadnought. What is Dreadnought doing? I think Dreadnought's a bit of a goal hanger here. Wyzywig out of it. Here's Wedgehog. Good control by Wedgehog. 2. Can he finish? It's an open goal. You've got to score here. But who did score? 3 left. No, I'm not too sure if Dreadnought is goal hanging. I think he's suffering a reoccurrence of that old injury. Can't move hardly. Taking on the goalkeeper. Hey, get some of that. She crashes against the post. Dreadnought's dead. And that's in from Cruella. So down to the last 2. But I've been told now they've both broken down. He goes to the judges.
Although Wyzywig and Dreadnought failed to score, the robot with most touches of the ball was Dreadnought.
You are getting through by the skin of your teeth, aren't you?
Hanging by a thread, yes. After we went up in the smoke, we really didn't think we were getting into that round. And
the battery charged.
Say that again?
We're just getting the battery charged in time.
It just went dead in there. It was just the fact that the others actually hit the ball into us that gave us the touches. So we feel a bit of a cheat, really.
Dreadnought is dismantled yet again. Will they be ready in time for the semi-final?
Guys, the clock is ticking here. This is your only chance to stay in. How are you doing?
I think we might have a test, a successful test in 5 minutes, maybe.
Okay, we'll keep our eye out and I won't disturb you anymore.
Okay, thanks.
Dreadnought lives to fight again, if it can be put back together again in time. Fingers crossed that the motor will keep its cool.
Dreadnought, the big slug against Wedgehog, the piece of cheese, and the Dreadnought boys look worried. They know they have to get this over and done with very early because the motor may not last. They're still in there. There's smoke! There's smoke from Dreadnought! It's gone again, the engine! And surely this is Wedgehog's semi-final now! He's smoking!
That's it, it's over. I can't smell burning, but there was a lot of smoke.
There was some smoke, yeah, and we just don't know what's happened to it. We'll take the shot now.
In the first round, we tried to do our best to repair it, but obviously it just wasn't man enough for the job.
We learnt a lot for next time. We'll be
Go
back.
up in smoke this time.
No, they haven't damaged the body too badly. Got something to work with.
It's a bit of a bashing though, wasn't it?
Yeah, they took it out on it. They tried the hardest.
Are you disappointed? Did you think you'd get this far?
No, I didn't think we'd get this far, especially after the burnt out and then getting into the football. I thought we'd finish at the football, but we've gone that far and we tried.
Good, you've done really well. Well, investigate the damage then. And next time, bring a fire extinguisher.
We'll one in it. Thank you.
See you. Wedgehog, what is your strategy going to be?
Try and make him run up the front. We've got no chance any other way. He weighs 4 times our weight. We haven't got the power that he's got. If he drives up the front of us, we might have the chance of him rolling off sideways and being beached.
But you've got the weapon.
We've got a weapon. I'm fairly certain he won't get through the armour, but we'll have a go.
Best of luck. Now, let me guess, favourites for the event. You're just going to ram them all the way and hope you'll get through like that.
That's right, yeah. They're quite a bit lighter than we are, so hopefully we can just get on apart and not get tipped over and just push them out of the way.
Fantastic thing is, this strategy is working, isn't it? Are you nervous at all?
A little bit. I didn't do too well against the last wedge one. It took a bit of doing. So I'm not sure. We'll see.
Thing is, you are likely to get flipped over, aren't you?
That's right, yes. I'll see if I can push the side of him.
Okay, best of luck. Go for it.
Cheers.
Activate. Robot the Bruce with George Francis and Mick Cutter against Wedgehog with Chris Glaser and Hugo Elias. Sheer brute force against the toothpick. It could all be over very, very quickly. He's on the grill. I don't think he's going to get out of there. Are you sure, taking on a grill with that thing? And the house robots are closing in for the kill as well. The sergeant with the circular saw. Shunt is in there too. There's the saw blade. I don't think they're going to get out. Matilda's in, looking for a few scraps, as usual. Shunt takes on Robot the Bruce, but I think it's too little too late. Robot the Bruce is the winner! copper-coloured cone, looks a little bit like a coal scuttle, powered by 4 18-volt domestic drill motors, weighing in at 78.9 kilograms, quite heavy, but also quite nippy at 9 miles an hour. Can it get past the drills? It's being very, very careful with this. Nowhere near its top speed of 9 miles an hour. Through the 2 grids. Up come the spikes. Avoiding them with a quick turn. Can he get off that grid? I don't think he's stuck. That's good driving. And body hammer through.
It was a bit dodgy at one point.
It was close, wasn't it? Very close. Bad driving. Bad driving.
Can I just say, you don't look full of the joys of spring. You look absolutely shattered.
Oh, it was the modifications sort of to the vehicle. It's hard.
Rumour has it that you were here until 11:30 last night in the pits working on this.
Just about.
From Worcester, reality.
This looks like an alien UFO, complete with coloured flashing lights and a siren. It's powered by 6 90-watt motors and has hardened steel spikes.
This is our robot. It's called Reality. It stands for Reverse Engineered Alien Technology.
Got a bit of a major problem here.
What's your major problem? You did very well, didn't you?
The wheel has snapped off, and we've got to look at the gearbox, and we might have to send for a replacement shaft from the makers of the motor. But it means a trip to Reading.
It means a trip to Reading between now and the next event.
Yep.
Okay, well, you haven't got long, have you?
No, a few hours.
I'll just remind you of the obvious. I'm so kind. Oh, good luck, guys, because you're doing really well.
We can run on 4. It is possible to run on 4, but it's going to be a bit of a problem. And we're going to lose a lot of power. It's power that we need, and I think they overheard us saying we were going to go for Matilda. That's what we did, but unfortunately they got there first.
Who did this to you?
Matilda.
She was in the passageway waiting
Yeah,
for me. She was in the passageway waiting for me, but I went up straight at her. But she had the advantage of being there already. But next time, in open combat, I'd have her any day.
I keep advising people not to combat directly with our house robots.
We've got to.
Does anyone ever listen to me? Nope, no one ever listens to a thing I say. Good luck, how are you feeling?
Quietly confident.
Quietly confident, okay, that's good news. Okay, reality team, are you prepared?
We are, yeah.
Yep. We're against the 37 kilo deficit.
We've got a bit of a weight difference, but we should be all right.
Okay.
We hope the judges take it into account, that's all.
Yeah, right.
Hope the opposition take it into account.
Activate. So, which will become our 5th robot through to the grand final by winning here now? Matilda in on Body Hammer spinning away from Matilda, who looks even more ugly tonight, and thrusting Reality against that spike. Turning nimbly away from Matilda, who does have Reality. She looks grumpy. I think she's suffering from PMT, pre-mechanical tension, of course. Tries to get back off the Body Hammer, and Body Hammer's on the grill. Come on, the Reality boys, get in there, that's what they're saying. Matilda's already there, Body Hammer on the grill. All the torch though for the Reality team. In it comes with the prongs. No, you don't take on shunt, you take on Body Hammer. Body Hammer's off that grill, given a little bit of a shunt of assistance. There's Reality, too dangerously near the side ropes. Up on the side, it's all over for the Reality boys. And Body Hammer will be the winners.
Yeah, the siren seems to have sustained some damage because it's not wobbling anymore, it's just on.
Oh, it is now.
Oh no, no.
There's something wrong with the circuit.
The repair weren't required.
We don't want there to be a winner and a loser because we've had such a good time, you know. We've sort of become quite good friends, really.
It's actually been the nicest thing about the whole competition. It's been the way everybody's helped everybody else out. The atmosphere in here has just been brilliant. It's just a pity there had to be losers.
Contrary to popular opinion, you don't all hate each other.
No, not at all. When we're in there,
We're the members of our
that's
team.
different. Here, it's very friendly.
Edward VI Grammar School, Tracy.
Might have a girl's name, but nothing ladylike about our Tracy, made of welded steel with deadly spikes and a very low centre of gravity, only 20 centimetres high.
Robot ears, stand by.
The Tracy team from King Edward VI Grammar School in Chelmsford. The driver is Andrew Rotcliffe.
Activate.
Tracy stands for Terrestrial Robotic Artificial Computerized Intelligent Engine. Now you know. Away from Bash, slowly, very slowly. In comes the flamethrower, too high though.
This is our robot, Tracy. She's in the heavyweight category, and as you can see, she's quite sturdily built. It's got a unique facility that can turn upside down and still continue going, which is why I have the casters on both top and bottom.
Got the spikes as the weapon too. There's the sergeant's saw and flamethrower. You can flip it over. It'll move on both sides, but not very far.
Stop and deactivate robots.
You got stuck in the railings by the looks of things.
Yeah,
no,
but
you know what happens?
It's still working.
Those servos, they're operating the micro switches, yeah? And the control hole's got caught underneath the micro switches and jammed, so it couldn't move.
It still works.
A little micro switch, micro surgery for Tracy, and all should be well.
The chances of that happening are like millions
very low.
From Enfield, Elvis.
Yes, the King is alive and protected by a pneumatic expanding rivet ram at the front and a body shell which gyrates just like Elvis the Pelvis.
Robot ears, stand by.
Driver Neil Lambert is 23. He's a special effects artist and wants to work on feature films.
Activate.
Elvis is obviously still with us in that sort of sparkly light shade thing. Already stuck though. Only a tiny ground clearance.
Hi, I'm Neil from Team Orange Pill. It's my heavyweight robot where Elvis lives. You can have one of these though.
I'm not too sure whether Elvis would have wanted one. But the light shade moves. In comes the sergeant with the saw and already made indents. In the pretty paintwork is wrecked totally and could be burnt off with a flamethrower. And Elvis is going nowhere at the moment. He needs some blue suede shoes to get out of there. Oh, you hound dog, Sergeant. Leave him alone.
And deactivate robots.
Things haven't gone too well in Tracy's pit, and the repair work continues. Will they get it ready in time?
Take your hand away. Yeah. Right, that's okay. It's a slow one.
Dramatic news just breaking here in the pit. It turns out that Tracy is having terrible technical problems with speed control. It may well be that Elvis is not dead yet. What was the results of that test, guys?
Well, we don't know, really. We know that the motors work, but we need to try it with the controller now. So yes, Elvis might live.
If you are back in the running, which you're obviously furiously preparing for, how do you think? How do you think you'll do in the next event?
Well, we're going to win, aren't we? We nearly won the last one. It was close, you know. We nearly got there, but you know, I'm sure this time it'll be a whitewash, won't it? We'll walk for it.
And is this the first injury I can see here on your finger?
Oh no, I've done this on the first day actually. Ankle grinding my finger.
You've angle grinded your finger. Such is the technical expertise.
This is good for the remote control, you see. All the controls are for this finger. So, now got
so you'll be operating
movement.
with an injury?
No.
Hey, good luck, guys. Hey, what's happened to Tracy? Because you don't look like you're in a go mode, and it's not long till you're on.
We've tried all day, and it's just not ready, but we're going to give it a go.
When you say not ready, what does that mean?
We need more power, and we just can't find any more power, so it's going to be very slow. So we just have to hope that they're gentle with us.
The house robots are never gentle. You should know that by now.
No. Can we not bribe them?
They're not susceptible to bribery either. Oh, listen, good luck. I hope it works.
We'll need it.
You've done so much work on it.
Yeah, it's the lads that I feel sorry for because they're going to be so disappointed. But we'll give it a go.
Okay. Good luck.
Thanks.
The king is dead.
Obviously, I've damaged my paintwork there.
It was so beautiful as well, wasn't it?
Best part of it, though, wasn't it? Spent hours doing that.
3, 2, 1. Activate.
Don't forget, Tracy could be flipped up and over and still survive. I'm not too sure whether the Team Scimitar Prince of Darkness boys can do just that. Oh, look at that! Already a puncture! In comes the spike like a dagger to the heart of the Prince of Darkness boys. Prince of Darkness and Tracy dancing together. Sounds like some awful disco scene. In comes another dagger! Another puncture! And surely that will immobilise Prince of Darkness. It's held now, pinned in by those sharp prongs. There's the punctured tyre. Very, very close towards the grid at the top of your picture. They wouldn't get out from there. I don't think they're going to escape anyway. Almost up and almost over. The Tracy boys pinning back the Prince of Darkness team. In comes the Sergeant and Dead Metal and Matilda. They sense the kill. It's almost all over, in like vultures. Oh dear, unfair play surely. 3 wheels on my wagon and I got nowhere to go.
You've had an awful lot of problems with Tracy all the way through. How is it looking now?
Well, we're feeling confident. We've got everything sorted out, so we're looking for a good bout.
Okay. Good luck.
Activate.
And the 2 heavyweights come together. Oh, and there are those dangerous prongs immediately coming into play from Tracy. We've seen what damage they can cause, and puncturing the side of Scarab. In come the house robots. Matilda bottom of your picture, Dead Metal to the right-hand side. And I wonder what damage that's caused. The puncturing, of Scarab. I'll tell you what, he's ripped the flesh off Scarab. Has Tracy, you can see it trailing off one of the deadly prongs. In comes Tracy once again, spinning, turning, good driving. Oh, he's out of control there again. Surely not mental enough to take on the Sergeant. I don't know though. Look at the damage caused. And certainly Shunt seems to think twice before coming in. But Matilda takes on the Scarab with that sawtooth tail. And off comes the radio control mast. And that could leave it immobile. I think the mace is out. And meanwhile, Tracy isn't out of control. It's mad enough or vicious enough to take on Matilda's tusks. And that'll be earning points. The judges deciding on damage, aggression, control and style. And surely it'll go to points now. Surely it'll go to the judges. And Tracy now attacks the Sergeant.
First of all, well done, but you're obviously very aware that you have to stay in the arena now for the final melee.
Yes. We're just a bit worried. We don't quite know what damage has been sustained, but she's a tough old girl. She'll be okay.
You did very well. You got some aggressive moves in there on Sergeant Bash as well.
Yeah, I mean, the house robots have been giving people grief all day, so we thought we had to get one back for the lads.
You did that. Good luck.
Thank you very much.
It's like you're under the Archer's garage. Where'd you buy this one, Doc? The tension is becoming unbearable as the robots are made ready for the grand final to determine who will become the first British Robot Wars Series champion. Even the house robots are receiving last-minute attention to ensure that they are at their destructive best.
Put the chain back on.
Switch them off. How long do you think, just Sergeant?
About 5 minutes. Everything's going back on now. Put it back together now, so
Can't put your side back on, your cover back on. Oh, Chris, it's off here.
And into the final from Heat 1, Roadblock diverting all opponents to take the glory road. From Heat 2, Recyclops with the extending tongue licking all opponents. From Heat 3, the brute force of Robot the Bruce. And our featherweight pretender Cunning Plan speeding to victory in Heat 4. Next, the copper-coloured Coal Scuttle working out the maze in Heat 5. And they're all joined by tonight's winner, the not-so-ladylike Tracy.
6 of them are going into the arena now for the very last time, and the excitement here in the pits is intense. We cannot wait to watch it. There'll be crowds around the monitor. We're going to enjoy this just as much as you are.
Indeed we are, Philippa. The final of Robot Wars.
Roboteers, stand by.
There they are, the drivers. of Roadblock with its scooped front, and Body Hammer, the Cold Fusion team, and Rex Garrod on the right, driver of Recyclops with the extending ton. There's Cunning Plan from the University of Reading.
3, 2,
and Robot the Bruce, and
1.
Tracy from tonight.
Activate.
And this for the title, the first ever UK Robot Wars champion. Aggressive style already, especially from Tracy spiking Recyclops, and that allows Roadblock to come in underneath. There's the extended tongue, but Recyclops can't flip Tracy over at this moment in time. Tracy comes back. There's Body Hammer in the spotlight briefly, and running away, Cunning Plan. Needs to get back into the action and be aggressive, and it is there because the judges will mark for aggression, and Tracy's up on Cunning Plan, and both of them are out, immobilised. 4 left, Body Hammer and Recyclops, and Robert the Bruce there to the left-hand side, and the dangerous Roadblock, who's persisting in this attack on Recyclops, the most dangerous attacking robot otherwise in the field. But up on its side, Recyclops. Down it comes, the tongue takes a fearful bashing. Roadblock still pressurising, and Body Hammer thrusts into Robot the Bruce. Recyclops on its side, not yet down. Robot the Bruce trying to get involved. Rex Garrod needs to get his tongue back in every sense of the word. Recyclops up the picture. There's the chain off Recyclops, and that attacking by Roadblock has paid off. Recyclops is out. They're down to 3. Body Hammer. Roadblock behind it, and there's Robot the Bruce up on his side and goes as well, and that leaves 2. The Roadblock team of students from Bodmin against the team of nuclear engineers and Body Hammer. Here's Roadblock closing in on the far more experienced engineering team, getting in underneath. It's over. It goes to the judges, and the arena on its feet, a standing ovation. These, the 6 bidding to become the champions of the first series of Robot Wars. Recyclops, attacked by Roadblock. Roadblock in the thick of things again as Tracy takes out Cunning Plan and goes out herself. Roadblock then attacking Recyclops and Robot the Bruce. Just about anyone had a go at Recyclops, especially Roadblock. And Recyclops, the chain came off in the end, leaving 3, and Roadblock putting out Robot the Bruce after a suicidal charge. And my money's on Roadblock, but let's see what the judges have to say.
The judges take their time coming to their momentous decision. Who is to be the champion? The whole arena and the teams in the pits await the verdict with bated breath. It's the Roadblock team of Hender Blewett, Peter Kinsey and Chris Kinsey from Bodmin Community College. Well done, lads.
I'd go and see a psychiatrist if I was you. She's going nowhere at the moment. He needs some lead pot, pepper pot, death by glory, and doom.
They include some of the best technicians, engineers and radio-controlled experts in Britain today. Sorry, I said radio-controlled experts.
Ooh, the flame licks out. Tremendous driving. Ooh, Kinneton will be in for the big, big flip. Get out. To 4 Recyclops. Until then, it's flipped. Slowly, inexorably pushes again. Sumo! You can do it. Ooh. Oh no, you shouldn't have done that. It's only a question of time. They know it. Look at the damage caused. Nemesis being ripped to shreds.
That was the semis, and that's whittled us down to 2 robots. Now all activities here in the pits are geared towards getting those
In comes the spike like a dagger to the heart. They're in the air and they're on fire. And doom. And it is all over.
It's okay, you can come out now. You can tell your friends you survived the classic battles, the unseen action, the wanton destruction of Robot Wars. And it's not over yet, because we've got that epic confrontation between Thor and the Master, and it's still to come. Firstly though, Robot Wars is now on the net. Point your browsers at www.robotwars.co.uk for the latest news and developments. Or you can join the Robot Wars Club. Membership includes a video of American Robot Wars, membership card, badge and an exclusive magazine. Send a £10 cheque or postal order made payable to the Robot Wars Club to Robot Wars, London W1A 3AR. building and controlling robots can be very dangerous. So if you'd like to compete, please join the club and you'll be sent our safety guidelines and technical advice. If you go on to build a qualifying robot for a future series, your money will be refunded. There is also a whole range of Robot Wars merchandise available exclusively to club members, including t-shirts, caps, posters of the house robots and much, much more. The address once again is Robot Wars, London W1A 3AR. Or we can be found on the net at www.robotwars.co.uk. And now it's time to strap yourselves in and cry mercy as we leave you with the ultimate robotic confrontation. Welcome to the BBC's visual effects department, rumoured to be the birthplace of Matilda, Sergeant Bash, Shunt, Dead Metal and Sir Kill-A-Lot. There is no better place on earth to introduce you to the art of building robots. Come with me. This is not a definitive guide to building a robot, but what we can do is take you through the various stages of construction. We can talk to the roboteers themselves and give you some advice on what does and doesn't work. For instance, cornflake packets, notoriously bad robots. Okay, you want to build a robot, what do you have to do? Well, if, like me, you don't know one of a server from another, then don't even think about starting. But if you've already got a half-decent grasp of electronics, engineering and radio control modelling, then you're already on the way to being a roboteer. Anyway, before we go into detail, let's start at the beginning. Well, we all know what robots look like in science fiction films. We've all seen My Mate Crichton, for instance. But in terms of Robot Wars, what do we actually mean by a robot?
Well, a robot can be anything. I mean, basically, this is a radio-controlled fighting vehicle specifically built for Robot Wars. It can be autonomous. It depends what skills you have, what facilities you have to build it.
How long would something like that take to build then?
Well, you can build something like this within a week, but a week to 3 months is about average.
And how much would it cost?
Well, again, if you're very good at scavenging, you go around scrapyards, you can pick up things like this for next to nothing. You could probably build one for 100, 150 pounds.
Well, yeah, one of them. There's lots of different weights, isn't there? What are the categories?
Well, the ones we mostly use on television are the heavyweights because they look the biggest, they're the best, they crash heavier together. But we actually recognise 4 of them. There's the featherweights, lightweights, middleweights and the heavyweights. Now, you can actually do quite a lot with the featherweights. In fact, here's one we made earlier.
Oh, one we made earlier.
This is Demolisher. Now, Demolisher is the reigning current UK featherweight champion. All it is really is one of these radio-controlled cars.
With a sort of metal skin?
Yep.
How much would it cost to build that then?
50 quid.
50 quid? Not bad. Money well spent. Well, Robot Wars is all about creativity, ingenuity and teamwork. It's not about chopping your fingers off. So put your chainsaw down and listen up.
Very dangerous work, building robots. I've had many close escapes, but good safety goggles, good hearing protection, and we're still here.
Number one thing is to remember all the time safety. On top here, there's a link. I put a steel pin in there to stop that thing firing, because if anybody stood in front of this ram and it went off and hit them, it could be fatal. There's no question about that. It isn't a toy. This is really dangerous. And it's a job sometimes to get people to realise this. When I demonstrate robots in the schools and colleges, I don't even run it. I show the video because I won't put it anywhere near children because it's just far too dangerous.
Fail-safe. You must have fail-safe on your robot. It's very simple and it's not very expensive. It's £15 for a fail-safe unit here, and it runs from a micro switch off our CAN mechanism there.
And what it does essentially, really, I mean, the micro switch shuts the whole system down. It's linked up to the speed controllers. It cuts the supply voltage to them and stops the machine clearing off under its own steam, really. As soon as it loses the signal from the transmitter, as soon as that's lost, the machine shuts down completely dead, and then go off and squeeze somebody.
Rules and regulations. Rules and regulations govern every aspect of Robot Wars. Many of them are concerned with health and safety issues. What weapons you can have, what weapons you can't, weight limits and so on. For instance, you might like to arm your robot with a dirty great flamethrower like Sergeant Bash, but for your own safety, you can't. A full set of rules and regulations will be issued to you on joining the Robot Wars Club and completing the necessary application forms. But in case you want to know what you're letting yourself in for, here's a brief summary. All explosives, corrosives, flames and pyrotechnics are prohibited. Untethered projectiles are prohibited. Compressed gas is limited to 1000 psi. Hydraulic fluid is limited to 3000 psi. The following materials and practices are prohibited: radio jamming, electronic weaponry, stun guns, Tesla coils, etc., liquid weaponry, water, glue, expandable foam, etc. Fuel capacity is limited to 8 fluid ounces or 6 minutes operating time. Fuel tanks must be adequately protected against penetration. Robots will be inspected for safety and reliability before being allowed to compete. Tethers, blades, arms, levers, air cylinders and all other mechanical parts and weaponry must be strong and secure. The organisers reserve the right to disqualify any entry at their discretion. And please note, all rules and guidelines are subject to change. Contestants who fail to adhere to rules and guidelines may be subject to disqualification. And please remember, do not start building a robot until you've been officially asked to by us. So now you know the rules. You're ready to build your very own galvanised gladiator. And it goes without saying that you're going to be very careful, aren't you? Yes, you are, missus. But before you start tinkering with the lawnmower, it's time to put pen to paper.
Before we built Razor, we spent many evenings thinking of designs of robots that would destroy some of the robots we'd seen on Series 1. And it stemmed from there. We came up with ideas with angle grinders and this, that and the other, but it wasn't really mass destruction. We wanted something that would really sort of give things a good chewing.
The most important aspect of building a robot has got to be the design. Mortis has taken approximately 3,000 hours in total, 1,000 of which was on the design stage. It's desperately important that everything works right first time when you're in competition.
The first thing we did was build a really rough prototype, and that was made out of a plywood sheet with the motors and wheels fixed on. And because before you can actually start to draw anything, you have to know the parameters of what you want to work to.
The materials we used all the way through, we went out
and searched the catalogues for most suppliers for materials that were available and then designed around what was available. So again, we've had to put a lot of thought into the overall design.
It's okay to think, well, you'll draw it from square one, but in my experience of making prototypes, which I actually make for a living, I find that you really must make a real rough mock-up for a start. That's my opinion anyway.
We really redesigned the weapon first and then thought, well, how could we mobilise it?
I think that's the key point, isn't it, really, is that most people tend to think of the robots, when observed, that make them mobile chassis first, and then, if there's enough weight left, stick a weapon on of some description. But the way we worked it was really the weapon was first, and then think about mobilising it in a way. So really, if we'd have thought about it in any other way, Razor couldn't have come about, because it was just too much of a... It had just been too heavy.
Yeah.
Of course, you might have designed a future Robot Wars champion on paper, but a basic understanding of radio control technology is essential if you're going to bring it to life. Now, don't get me wrong, autonomous robots capable of doing their own dirty work are allowed on Robot Wars, but for the moment, let's stick with one of these.
Now look, I know these robots are remote controlled, and I've heard everything about transmitters and frequencies and crystals, but talk to me as if I'm an idiot. Treat me as if I'm absolutely ignorant, for the benefit of our viewers at home, of course, and tell me what it all means.
Well, basically, this is the radio transmitter, which transmits a signal to the receiver, which then drives the robot. This runs on 40 megahertz. At the back of it, it has an interchangeable crystal, this thing. Now, when you get your rules and regulations, it does specify in there that you bring spare ones of these so you don't clash with other robot frequencies.
And where can you buy all this stuff?
These are available at most good hobby shops. You can buy them. They range in price from around £100 to £150.
Of course, radio control gear is pretty useless unless you've got something to actually control, and that something is obviously your robot. Now, it's not unusual for robots to end life scattered into 1,000 pieces across the arena floor, but they start out life as two pieces, the body and the chassis. Now, of course, the body protects the robot, but it's what's inside that ultimately counts. So, let's have a peek under the bonnet. Anyone got a mechanic?
Let's start from the beginning. Batteries for power here at the front. They're nice and heavy, so it gives you a nice low centre of gravity. They run through these two devices here, the speed controllers. Now remember those, they're important, we come back to them in a minute. But meanwhile, onto the motors. Two in this particular case, they drive independently each wheel through simple transmission, a couple of gears. Back to those speed controllers. Why have we got them there? Well, motors don't really like being switched on, off rapidly like that. They like to go through a nice smooth transition. And that's where the speed controllers come in. But the snag here is that during normal running, when your motors are running fine, that's great, the speed controllers will act normally. When you come up against something as heavy as Sergeant Bash or get pushed into the corner by Sir Killalot, the motors stall. When they stall, they start dragging power from the batteries through the speed controllers get hot. Now, where you bought your radio gear from your local hobby store, you probably saw things like this. These are little speed controllers. Now, they're excellent in their own right, as long as they're running something like a model racing car like this. They're no good for running a robot. Here, size is important. You need something like this.
Yeah, with the choice of speed controllers, really, it's basing it on what power the motors are. So with a car starter motor, you're going to need a huge amount of power. With the caddy motors, it only requires about, say, 100 amps max. Now, there's a bit of a thing with this. Don't go using the radio controlled car ones because they're just not up to it.
If you didn't have speed controllers, you just have switches, and your motors would be going flat out, so the thing would only go in a dead straight line. You would be impossible to turn it other than very sharp, probably 90-degree or sharper turns than that. Also, you wouldn't be able to slow down and approach something at a steady speed.
I mean, like I say, they're actually rated to 100 amps. On the continuous is about 50 amps, which is about half of that. The motors actually show 23 amps. So as you can see, it's got 23, 50 and 100 max. So that way we know it's not going to burn out, you know it's going to go. And they still do get hot. These speed controllers still need a fan. There's a little cooling fan there. They definitely need that to keep all the heat out of them, and we've run it without it and they've still got hot. So even though those numbers look good, in the real world they still are straining.
Right, next we go to propulsion. There are two main methods of propulsion. One, the IC engine, or to the layman, the petrol engine. Two, the electric motor. Both excellent, depends on the type of robot you're going to build. There's hundreds and hundreds of different motors available from different sources. If you go to scrap yards, you can find things like this, which is a motorcycle starter motor. Very, very powerful, extremely difficult to reverse. Best avoid it. Same thing comes with this. This is a car starter motor, extremely powerful. Again, you'd need to build a gearbox to make your robot go backwards. This is a marine 12-volt DC motor, very, very useful for driving weapons. This is a starter motor for a model aeroplane. Take the drive off, use it on your robot. Quite good, quite cheap. The most popular at the moment is this one, the fabulous C5 motor. Smooth, inexpensive and very efficient.
This is one of our motors. It's actually the Axe motor. It's a 900 watt compound series wear motor, whatever that means. I don't know anything about electronics. I don't claim to know anything about electronics. It's very heavy. It's also very old. It weighs about 6.5 kilograms, which is at least 2.5 kilograms more than the motors that everybody else seems to be using. But they're also more powerful, so it swings and roundabouts. You gain sometimes, you lose sometimes.
This is the power motor, the drive motor. It's a lovely motor. Why mine has got a lot of power is the fact that I cheat a little bit, because this is a 12-volt motor and I run it on 24 volts, but it's pulsed, so it doesn't overheat the motor. It would after, say, 10 minutes or a quarter of an hour, but as the bout's only up to 5 minutes long, it doesn't have time to get hot.
We chose electric motors for this robot as the weapon and the chassis just was so heavy. We had no other option. We could have used hydraulic motors. We could have used petrol or something like that, but we managed to do it with 12-volt motors with 24 volts.
And seeing as the pump motor really was going to generate its power from electric,
Yeah.
it might as well tie it all up. Why have two systems? Why have petrol? Why have electric? You're going to have to carry two lots of fuel in that way, aren't we? So we worked out that we run a bit of an unorthodox kind of system where we've got two battery packs, which are, one is all connected up into 24 volts to drive the main transmission, and then coming off of one of those batteries is another 12-volt line which drives the pump. So it's a bit unorthodox, but it seems to work. I mean, it makes out for a massive short circuit somewhere along the line, but it hasn't happened yet.
Assuming you're using electric motors, there's really only two types of batteries available to you. One is NiCads. Now these will be in your radio transmitters and receivers anyway, but they're only really suitable for running the feather and lightweights. If you want to middle and heavy, you need lead acid batteries.
Right, now these are special lead acid batteries. They contain no liquid. The advantage of this is when you bang into things like that, there can be no leakage. They come in various sizes, obviously. From this size, much smaller, much bigger.
We use 6 small 5 amp hour batteries on our robot. We could use a much larger one that we've got over here, which is what most teams seem to use. But the thing about using a big battery like this is a 30 amp hour battery. Our 6 small ones are 5 amp hour, so the output's exactly the same. But we can choose where we put these because they're such small batteries.
This is the type of battery we went for, which is a sealed lead acid battery that runs golf caddies, trolleys, wheelchairs, all that sort of thing. Be surprised how many amps one of these things will knock out.
The batteries are those red things in there. Now, a bit special, they're aircraft starter batteries. Now they've got a very, very low internal resistance. That means I can dump a lot of current out there in a hurry. That gives you increased acceleration. They're a bit expensive, but they are the bee's knees.
If you get good batteries, then they're going to give you good capacity. So don't go and do like I did in the first place, which was to go down the tip and try and get these batteries cheap, because the thing, it just isn't worth it, because the capacity has totally gone out of them. You might as well buy them. They're only about sort of 30 quid or something like that, and you're going to get the run time out of them and everything. The thing's going to go definitely for about 8 minutes. It's going to be loads of power and it's just going to be fine. They're going to charge up, they're not going to get hot. We actually had one the other day that was, it looked fine, but internally it just got really hot and it was rubbish. The machine sort of had about half the capability, didn't it? Yeah, so
Slow.
battery choice is really important.
What about bodywork? What would you recommend?
Although metal may seem the logical choice, in fact there's the old traditional material wood. Now wood does have a lot of advantage actually. It's easier to work, It's easy to cut and saw, probably easier than metal. And in actual fact, if your opponent's got a circular saw, you can actually jam the circular saw with wood, which you wouldn't perhaps with metal. There's another material as well, and this is the ubiquitous fiberglass. There are other similar materials like Kevlar as well. Now, this can be moulded. You use a resin to actually make it into the fixed shape. You can, if you've got a complex design you want to do, an animal or something like that, this is probably the only way you can actually do it, mould into shape.
Okay, so you've got your bodywork, you've got it in shape, you've got it looking how you want. What about the aesthetics? Are you going to paint it? What's best?
Well, as an engineer, if you see a very nicely finished piece of metal, it excites us, but visually effective robots is what we're looking for. They've got to be nicely decorated, attractive, and look really mean.
What? A bit like me, really. So, the chassis is nice and strong, the motor's up and running, it looks beautiful, but what about the cutting edge? What about the weapons?
Well, I suppose we can say there's really 4 different types of weaponry that's used on robots. There's spikes and things that we're going to prod, and they can either be fixed to the robot or they can go on things like pneumatic rams like this. You've got lifting devices, and the idea there, they can ideally get under an opponent and flip them over. You've got pickaxes, which can swing over and impale themselves on the opponent. And of course you've got the rotating devices, circular saws and chainsaws.
Probably the most famous component of Mortis is the axe, which everybody loves to see. It was a very difficult thing to design and build. This is actually our 3rd attempt at making it work right.
When you attack, I can just push the front down into the ground. That's the lowest point on the machine. It will actually plane the surface off the boards we fight on. And when in that attack mode, I can actually fire this ram by pressing this button. There's a very, very slight delay, but it's really powerful. That's about, I expect about a 50th of what it will go. I daren't unrestrict it, because if it flew up without a load on it, it would destroy itself.
On Razor we have a weapon of mass destruction. It was designed to look good and function. It's got 9 tons of squeezing ability. We can drive in underneath opponents and literally crush them. It's fantastic. It runs on 3000 psi of hydraulic oil and 9 tons out of the ram on a 3-to-1 ratio.
This is an ordinary SodaStream bottle. It powered a very successful robot, the bucket on Behemoth. Simple device. This car starter motor drove a flywheel. Attached to the flywheel, a pickaxe. Very successful kilotron. There are other devices you can use, particularly hydraulics, but complicated, need to be very skilled, best avoided by the amateur. There are other things you can use, really the choice is yours.
Well, your weapons are attached, your robot's looking mighty mean, but it's no good having a decent robot unless you've got a decent robot driver. Derek, what makes a good robot driver?
Well, believe it or not, the simplest thing, practice. I mean, people build beautiful robots, but without practice, they don't drive them properly.
I've got a lot of experience on driving radio-controlled cars, racing them around, but these big robots, they respond in a very different way. And if you can, just get out and practice, because these things will turn on the spot, they'll spin, go backwards in no time, and it feels very, very different. So just practice, big time.
The number 1 tip, as far as I'm concerned, as a workplace where you build a robot, has got to be really comfortable. It wants to be well lit, well heated, radio so you can play some good music, because that's got to compete with a nice warm lounge and a nice fire and a television set. And not only has it got to compete, it's got to win.
One of the major pitfalls on Robot Wars is the weight. You really have to watch the weight as you design your robot. Otherwise you're going to rob certain areas of their capabilities.
Yeah, weigh your components first, otherwise you'll have a box on wheels with a spike screwed on the front.
There's one part of robot building that's more important than anything else, and it can be summed up in one word: planning. Nothing else matters. Plan everything before you commit yourself to spending money, making parts, because you'll find very, very quickly that you can get into a muddle and spend a lot of money that will just go straight down the drain because you won't be using half the parts.
If you want your robot to do well at Robot Wars, design the weapon first.
Have the weapon take precedence over everything else. The weapon is the main thing. That's going to be doing all the business. Then put the drives on it. And if it's really good, you're going to win
the Best Design Award.
Yes. Well, that's almost all we've got time for. Hopefully this step-by-step guide to building your own metal monster has set you well and truly on the road to becoming a roboteer. But before we go, and in traditional school teacher style, here's a brief summary. No talking at the back. Firstly, join the Robot Wars Club to receive necessary application forms, technical advice, health and safety guidelines and rules and regulations. Secondly, before you start juggling with chainsaws and welding scrap metal together, give a lot of thought to the type of robot you want to build, talk it through with your teammates and then design your robot on paper. Next, start collecting the necessary components, radio control gear, batteries, speed controllers, motors, armour and weapons. Use your initiative, scour scrapyards, salvage materials and generally scavenge. If you want to build a heavyweight robot, don't rely on off-the-shelf components normally used in radio control modelling. Then start building your robot safely and carefully. If you're uncertain about some aspect of designing, constructing and operating a robot, don't even start. And if you're under the age of 18, you must involve a responsible adult. Finally, once your robot is up and running, practice, practice, practice. Driving skills are very often forgotten, but are essential for victory in Robot Wars. So there you have it, an introduction to the noble sport of Robot Wars. If this A to Z of do's and don'ts to building your own mechanised warrior has inspired you, then hey, why not give it a go? If you're interested in becoming part of one of the world's fastest growing sports, then you must first join the Robot Wars Club. Membership includes a club magazine, badge, video and an application form for entry into the world of competitive robot combat. Complete and return this form and you will also be sent technical advice, rules and regulations. Send a £10 cheque or postal order made payable to the Robot Wars Club to Robot Wars, London, W1A 3AR, or you can join the club via our website. Point your browsers towards www.robotwars.co.uk. Remember, building and operating robots can be extremely dangerous and we don't want any accidents, so be extremely careful and if you're under the age of 18, get the help of a responsible adult. So there you have it. Thanks for watching and remember, join the club, join the cause, build a robot for Robot Wars. Bye bye.